Hi, apparently I am now live according to Instagram. Alright, I'm clearing my desk because I somehow managed to always have stuff all over my desk. So while I wait for some people to connect, I will do that. Oh my gosh, so much stuff all over my desk, including just bits of crumbs. I don't know where the crumbs come from. Hello people. I'm just getting ready while everybody joins in. I figured out a better angle so that you're not all seeing my extra chins during this view. I missed a bit of hair in my ponytail, but I'm too lazy to put it back. Oh, I have a bobby pin. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Wonder if that's a saying or a silly thing to say in America. Okay, I am gonna wait again until it's 5 past. So in the meantime, hello everybody that's here. I hope you're all enjoying this stitch along so far and that you're all caught up, and if you're not, that's okay. I might just have some of my very loud water bottle while we wait for some time to pass. This is an amazing water bottle. It's not a sponsored ad, but holy crap, it's loud. Get all my stuff ready. Make it set up so that it's nice and pretty. Having a great time. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Oh, I just realized I should plug this in. Got caught up this morning. Nice. Well, this next stitch is gonna take a bit of time. I do have to be shooting off before 3:15. So in an hour and 10 minutes, that's all the time we have. So it is 5 minutes past now. So today we're gonna do fishbone stitch. We're gonna do the pretty leaves here and these two here, and we'll see how long that takes. I wouldn't expect that to take the whole time, so if not, we'll do the colonial knots, and we might not finish that if we do that. And if that's the case, I'm thinking I'm going to like complete a stitch if I don't finish one, so that we could just like keep going, because there is only today and tomorrow for this week that I'm going to be streaming, and then next week it's kind of going to be like, we'll finish when we finish, whenever that is. I don't know when that's going to be, but that's okay. Alright, so I got my scissors. Alrighty. Transition between hand and stitch is not great. I gotta just tighten the screws on my thing, and I'm just gonna go turn off the light in this room because it's casting a big shadow. How does that look? Oh, that looks alright. I will stitch in the dark today. I'm gonna bring up this. Alright, we need to zoom in a bit more. There we go. Alright, so we are, I didn't bring up my pattern either, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be using DMC 520 for this next one. Yep, DMC 520, and we want to use all 6 strands because we want some lovely coverage. I have a little snip here that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strands in it, so we're going to utilize this because I'm all about using up the scraps. Alright, so we're going to start with our quilters knot again. 2, 3 wraps around. Oh, we undid one. Let's try that again. Come on, what's going on? 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to pull it through. And we got our lovely little knot. Boop. Where should we start? We will do these 2 by themselves first. So we're going to start by coming up here. Hopefully you guys can see that. So we're just coming up at the top of the like crease of the leaf to the very tip of the leaf. And then there's a couple of different ways to do a fishbone stitch, I mean. So you can either continue coming up along this line, or you can actually like cross. It saves floss. But I'm not going to do that because it might be a bit confusing. But what you can do is when you come in here, you come up here, and then you come up and then go back down in here, and then you move down slightly to come up, and then it saves a little bit of floss. But for the sake of clarity, I'm just going to keep coming up along this line here. So you want to come in either on top of the previous stitch or right next to the previous stitch, and we're just going to keep filling out this little leaf, and that is the basis. That's the basis of the stitch. I have a cat on my desk again. It's not Milo this time, it's Zoe. Do we separate and rejoin the strands or just use them straight off the bobbin? No, we're using all 6 strands of the floss today because it gives us a nice full coverage. You can do less if you want to. It does look nice with less strands, but it takes a lot longer, and I personally think 6 strands looks really puffy and lovely. If you mean do we separate and rejoin the strands, like all 6 strands, you don't have to. I mean, you can if you'd like to. What is this cat doing? She's getting in all my stuff. She's being full cat. She's trying to knock everything off my desk. Could you not, Zoe? So as you can see, the very first stitch, hopefully you can see that. I might move my phone in a bit more. Make the sound effects too. So the very first stitch went in about here, and so far I've moved down, and you'll see you need to alternate each side, and that's what gives it the sort of fishbone-y look. Once we get down to the very bottom, you kind of have to do it a little differently, and you'll see once I get down that point. I'm going to have to change my floss over before we get there though, but that's okay. Yeah, we kind of have to use creative license to make it look like it's overlapping a little bit. The closer you go back in along the edge of the leaf, the tighter it'll look. So you won't see every single, I can actually show an example. So if I show you the previous one that I've done, you can see every single time that I've come in to the fabric again. And I personally think that looks nice. But if you are wanting to make it look more, look less jaggedy, then you want to come in as close as possible. And if you were to use less strands, that would be easier to do. But yeah, as I said, I like the way that this looks with the little sort of, jaggedy edges. It's just embroidery like. And I'm not trying to make it look realistic for my pieces personally. Now I went in on that side. Alright, we're going to do one more and then change over the needle and put some new floss on. Alright, I'm just going to tie off this. You probably can't see it this time because I've got the phone so close to my work. But I'm just basically running it through the back of my work a couple of times and then tying off a knot. You don't want to tie off a knot straight away. You want to have some tail to it just in case something happens. Touch wood. That way you've got some more floss to work with to retie it if, heaven forbid, it does come undone, which, shouldn't. Alright, so I'm going to pull an arm's length of floss out again, which is me holding the end of it and then pulling it and cutting it to where my armpit is. And then I'm just going to thread my needle. Boop. Do my quilter's knot again. And I'm just going to come back up here again. Probably going to need to replace my needle with a new one soon. It's feeling a bit rough. They do that. The oils on your fingers, just the natural oils on your hands, starts to wear down the finish of the needle. And that's when they can not glide through the fabric quite as nice. It's got a knot on the back. There we go. Alright, so I'm actually going to start coming up a bit farther along here, because I'm noticing that it's splaying out more than I'd like, which just means that I'm coming in too close along this middle line. So instead of coming up right on top of it, I'm going to come up about there. And the thickness of the 6 strands is going to cover up that tiny little gap between the previous one. See? We don't have a little gap here at all. Are you able to zoom in? I am. I just don't want to hit. That's about as close as I can go, I think. I should turn my little foxy dude to be that way, because that's how you guys are looking at it. So for you guys, I'm working on it sideways, because that's how my phone holder sits. Let me know if that's a better angle or a better vision for you guys. But yeah, that's, once we get down to the end of it and I show you how to do that part of the leaf, it's pretty much the exact same thing for the rest of the leaves. We just follow the curve that we've drawn and then follow the curve of the outer edge of the leaf. So now that I'm starting to get to this leaf here, because we want it to look like this leaf is sitting on top of this leaf, I'm now going to start to follow the curve of this one. Oh. What's going on now? Pulled through the red twice. Is that still a good angle? Yes. So yeah, I want to go in like here. And once we do the other leaf, we'll want to make sure that we don't leave any white in between the two leaves. We'll kind of want to make the other stitches sit on top of this leaf, which is why it's a good idea, which I don't think I mentioned, to start with the leaves that sit behind other leaves. So I'm about to run into this little leaf that we did yesterday, and I'm actually going to stitch over the top of that one because I want it to make it look like it's sitting behind. So I'm just going to move that leaf out of the way with my needle so it looks, yeah, like it's sitting behind. So we're almost at the end of the inside of the leaf. And you've got two options basically. You can do what we've done here where we've stitched into this flower circle, or you can do what I'm going to do, which is well, I'll show you in a sec. So I'm going to do one more here, and this is going to use up a lot of floss because I'm doing it the way that doesn't try and save floss on the back. That's okay. I have a whole nother skein of it. Ow! I just poked my finger. Ow. Alright, so instead of continuing following the line, I'm now going to follow... I'm not going to continue following this line. I'm now going to fill in this little triangular area by following the line of the flower and filling it in that way. Which only takes, yeah, like 2 or 3 stitches. Cool. Well, there's that one done. And since it's only from here to here that I'm going to travel and I'm going to be stitching over the top of it, I'm just going to carry my thread along the back. if I was going to go from here all the way to over here, for example, I would cut it off and start again, just so that I don't get tied up at the back or anything like that. So just for those who may have joined late, I do have a hard finish today of 3:15. So we'll be finishing either then or beforehand. I have to take my daughter to her speech therapy because it's Wednesday and that's what we do on Wednesdays. I'll be doing some cross stitching in the car while watching something I've downloaded on my phone, either on Netflix or Disney Plus. But yeah, I should mention that you can see once either on mine or once you've done yours, because the quality's not great on the stream. Looking at it on my computer, so hopefully it's better on your phones. Whoops, sorry about that. Bring that back up. I was trying to tighten it and then I untightened it instead. You can see the little line of the leaf, and that's because, yeah, we've crisscrossed over the top of the strands of floss to create that look, which is Fishbone apparently. Gonna have to cut off this thread soon and we'll do it now actually. So I might make that drop again so you can see what I'm doing. So we've got is that right? Yeah, we've wasted so much floss here because of how we've crisscrossed on the front. Whereas if we did it the other way that I mentioned, it would only fill in, it would like fill in this way, and then it would stop, and you'd have all this empty space. It just uses less floss. It produces the same look on the front, but just for clarity, I'm doing it the way that I am, so that you guys understand what's going on. Trying to make it fancy, not here. It's not working out very well. Just don't want it to undo. Alrighty. Snip. Put it in my little art jar. And then I'm going to just fix this back up so you guys can see what I'm doing again. Alright, so again, we're just going to get 6 strands. I have used quite a lot of this floss this year. I'm very glad that I bought a second skein of it. Alright, I'm just threading my needle at the moment, just off camera, letting it unwind. And I will, you can't really see that. Hopefully it focuses properly. It's very close to my phone. I'm just gonna pull that through, maybe, hopefully. And we've got our lovely little knot. Alright, back to the stitching. So it doesn't matter how much you pull through, how much thread you have, on your needle. Obviously, the more that you have, the less amount of times that you've got to re-thread your needle. I do an arm's length so that I'm not like just pull, pull, pull in multiple actions. It's just a personal preference, really. I think my arm gets tired if I put too much on. Oops. So that little bit there is actually the end of my knot from the start of the... I've just pulled it through with my left hand. It's going to keep doing it until we get further along. I'm just trying to use my left hand to push it out of the way. Well, that made a big hole. There we go. I gotta unwind this floss. It's very twisted. Alright, I think that's right. Yeah, you can kind of see it twisted a bit on the front there. That's okay. So because I'm doing all of the stitches pretty close together, it's making a little raised effect, which I quite like. Kind of gives it a bit more of a 3D look, which is kind of what we're going for here. Some people do call it 3D embroidery. I was brought up knowing this as Brazilian embroidery. Especially the flower stitches that we're going to do. As you may have noticed, actually, the little branch that we did here on the first day is going to fit in nicely in between these two little leaves. And because we started it lower than the pattern, we kind of assumed where it was growing. We won't have any issues with it just sort of finishing abruptly. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to get more floss already. Usually I would shortcut, like I mentioned earlier, and I would do this stitch in a way that would save floss. And now that I'm not, I'm amazed at how quickly I'm running out of floss. I'm really, really glad that I bought another skein of it because we've got 3 more leaves to go after this one. Alright, so I want to make sure that this branch fits nicely. I'm actually going into one of the stitches for it. Yeah, that's going to look nice. And we want to kind of do the same with the leaf. We want to push the stitches for the other leaf out of the way so that we don't have any white space in between the two, because that would not look natural. Now that I'll do one more, but now that I've hit the bottom of the bottom of the middle of the leaf, so where it touches the flower, I'm now going to fill in this triangle of space before I fill in this triangle. I'm just going to use my nail to kind of push the floss out of the way and fill it in properly. If you've got fake nails, you'll find this a lot easier than I will. There we go. And we'll do the same on the other side, and I am going to have to get new needle of floss before I finish this leaf, which is unfortunate. How much do I have? Not a lot. We'll do one more stitch. It's coming along nicely. Alright, I'm going to flip over my work again. It makes nice looking leaves on the back as well, which is absolutely what we're going for, isn't it, everyone? Pretty leaves on the back. I'm joking, of course. And snip. So I'll just show you. So you can see this. I deliberately didn't back the back of this piece. You can see how I've saved floss by going the other direction. I did it with this one the same way for this one, but instead of, I'll flip this over and you can see the difference. Hopefully, yeah. So you can see this is basically done the same thing on the back of this leaf, whereas this one is just little triangles in the tops of the leaves, because I've come up here, go in on this side, come up on this side and go back in here, and then slightly move down, come up, in, up, in. So, for those curious, it does, like I said, it does produce the same stitch in the end. It's just however you prefer to stitch it. It might look a little different if you're using something like a satin floss, because the direction of the thread will sit differently. I'm just rethreading my needle and putting a knot in the end off camera, just because it's a bit easier. We have our little knot, and I'm just going to finish the rest of this leaf, and then we will start on leaf number 3. I've never timed myself doing embroidery as intensely as I am having to at the moment, and I cannot believe that this has taken me half an hour. I thought I was much quicker than this. Just something to keep in mind for myself, I guess. If you do stitch for a living, I highly recommend you record yourself, or time yourself, sorry, so that you can quote accurately. Just please don't undersell your work. That's my little spiel. Okay, we're going to fill in the rest of this flower. And then I am going to flip it over and cut the thread. I'm not going to carry it across. It's just asking for tangling. There we go. 2 lovely leaves. snip. Oh, okay. I was wondering why that wasn't tightening. Had it too high up. Alright, we're going to do these 3 leaves now. And then by the looks of it, that'll be all we have time for today. I'm just redoing a knot on my thread, my needle. I was trying to see if I could zoom in, or sorry, and focus on a point, but apparently I can't through Instagram. Which is a bit silly. Now there's no right or wrong direction to start first when you're doing the fishbone, as long as you're doing alternating sides, then you're all good. Wish I knew where my thread conditioner was. As I mentioned yesterday, one of my kids was messing around with all my sewing stuff recently, and my thread conditioner's gone walkabouts. Probably still with all my sewing stuff, to be quite honest. It's just I don't have the time to look for it. So I'm doing this leaf, because it is going to sit behind this one, which means that the one after this one that I'll be doing will be this leaf. It's not a hard and fast rule. I just think it's a good idea to stitch what's in the background before you stitch what's in the foreground. I do that with my Stitch People portraits as well. I stitch all the bodies. Well, I do the skin first because that's on the inside. And then I do clothes, and then the very last thing I do is hair. But that's neither here nor there, because we are doing embroidery at the moment. just realised. If you've got any questions, just let me know. That's the beauty of it being live. I'm here and I've got the chat open. I can see if you've got any questions. I'm not the most well-versed of experts, but I do feel like I have more knowledge than I give myself credit for when it comes to stitching and embroidery and all of that. So I'm going to go into the circle a little bit for this one. The circle being this middle flower, because I kind of want to make sure that I don't leave any gaps. I think I need to redo my... Oh no, I can do a couple more stitches. I'm going to need to get some more floss again. Yeah, I don't want to have any white gaps. Yeah, I'll tie off my floss now. So I'm just running it through a couple of the strands. Through a couple of the like rows that I've created of the floss, and then I'm doing 2 double knots, pulling them tight before I snip. I'm getting a lovely green top to my little ort jar. You can see the pink and the green from the last time I did my florals. There, there's all the pink and the green. Alright, we'll get some more floss. The bobbin's almost empty. Definitely glad I got a spare skein of some of these colours. I got a spare one of the pinks, 2 spares, sorry, because I am pretty certain I'm going to go through more than one whole skein of that pink. It'll be worth it though. Okay, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to pull it back up again so you guys can see. If I notice blank spots in my leaves after they're done, could I add filler stitches after the fact? Absolutely. You will want to like use your nail or your needle to like pull it apart like that. Hopefully you can see that. And then come up through the back. So like pull it apart and then come up like that to start the filler stitch, I guess, and then come in. Don't necessarily fill it to the end. You want to like come up in the middle and come down in the middle again, because I would assume likely you've got gaps in the middle of the strands, and that way it'll look natural. It'll look like you haven't had big gaps, basically. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm just filling in this side first. Because I have hit the circle. But yeah, that's definitely why I recommend using all 6 strands, because because it is forgiving. You can kind of fluff it up a little bit. You can like stick your needle in and just go boop, 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 and that just like fills it up nicely. Once you wash it as well, that will help. If you, regardless of whether or not you just spritz it with water to clean it or whether you actually hand wash it. I never recommend putting your pieces in the washing machine. Not because I think it's a bad idea, just because I've never done it, so I do not recommend it from personal experience. I'm way too scared to do something like that. I know people who do, and they put it in like a delicates bag and then they hang it to dry. Those brave souls. I could never do that. Alright, so I'm literally running across the same colour when I start for this one. So I am just going to carry my thread and start on this one. Have I got it in a good angle? Yes. Not a problem. I'm just fiddling with the phone, peering at it a little bit. Just trying to see if I could change the angle or anything, or the focus. But no, apparently I can't. This is a bit of a strange angle for me to stitch at right now, so I am going a little bit slower than usual. Just tightening my fabric a little bit on that side. You want your fabric to be as tight as possible, otherwise your stitches are going to force wrinkles into your fabric and you'll just regret the way it'll look afterwards. So it's a very simple thing to just keep an eye on, but it is something that you cannot fix after the fact. You have to cut it all out and redo it. And I'm noticing that my fabric in this bit is trying to wrinkle, and I don't want to let it. I hope that even just the repetitive motion of these stitches is therapeutic for everyone. I definitely enjoy just, even the mundane stitches like these. It's a nice contrast from what we're going to do next week as well. Because the big flower in the middle is going to be a lot of focus, and it should be interesting to record it for you guys, because it does require both hands and a lot of finagling. And I'm quickly running out of floss again. I'm just letting my needle hang for a second just to unwind it. It's getting a bit twirled up, and I am about to run out of floss. So we'll get a couple more stitches in, maybe 2 more. So I'm moving the thread over so that I can get in as close to that branch as possible without sticking it in the middle. Alright, I'm gonna finish off that bit of thread. Snip. We're getting there. Alright, I'm just going to use the rest of what's on this bobbin. It's not as much as I would normally grab, because the next amount of floss after this is going to be from the skein. I don't usually pull from the skeins directly. If you're in the chat and you know which way to pull it, let me know. I'm pretty sure I remember, but I guess it's a trivia quiz for me. If you didn't know, you can pull the tail, I'm pretty sure, you pull it from the end that has the number, and you can actually pull it through nicely, it doesn't get caught. So there's some trivia for you. You can take that to trivia night or whatnot. Yeah, that's not focused, is it? It's too close. Okay. I'm going to go that distance from the camera, because apparently it wasn't in focus before. Alright, so the last stitch I did go on this side. I'm actually going to go on this side again, because I want the leaf to look like it's curving in a bit. Because it kind of is. And then I'm going to come up in the same spot. I'm just going to get the knot out of the way. And then fill in the other side. Again, I'm just moving the floss out of my way to be able to go in so that I'm not poking the branch, which is not a euphemism. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go on the same side. And that just helps that last curve of the leaf a little bit more. If you've got designs that have leaves that curl in really tightly, you might want to consider going 2 on one side and then 1 on the other side. So I'm going to go on the same side again. Well, we've got a cat hair. There we go. And a bit of fluff. There we go. And we'll just fill in this last little triangle. And then we are going to do the last leaf, and then we are going to call that for the day. Because I have got to get my daughter to her appointment. I'm going to do one more. I know we're in the circle, but it will sit over the top. Alright, now we're just going to carry the thread again because it is going over the same colour. Has that got a knot in the back? Nope. It's just being silly. Big leaf. Tighten my fabric again. I think I sketched this one out a little strange with the middle of the leaf because I don't remember it being that kind of wonky. But we'll follow it and see what happens. Being a bit difficult. There we Yeah, it's just going to hide it. That's okay. That works for me. What is going on, fabric? It just doesn't want to sit tight the way I want it to. So no one's going to guess which end of the, or tell me, confirm for me, which end of the floss skein you pull from. I'm going to have to wing it because I'm not going to Google it. It's the principal thing at the moment. I'm pretty sure it's the number end. Because I am officially out of that. And see, this bobbin is empty. Should be pretty funny if I pull it from the wrong end. You're right, it's the number end. Woohoo! I always wind my floss. So tomorrow you will see that it is going to be rewound back on the bobbin. I'm not going to do it on stream because that's kind of boring. Snip. Yes, the number end. Woo! 2 confirmations. All right, here we go. I'm trusting you guys. Oh, that's weird. That feels like it should. Oh, no, it did. No, okay. I'm cutting it. I'm going to cut my losses and I'm going to cut it there. It did snag a little bit. All right, we are rethreaded. Hopefully it's not a different dye lot. If you have big projects, like a big cross stitch or something that you're working on, I highly recommend you buy all the floss that you need. Uh-oh. It's a different color. Well, that's bad. That's because I've grabbed the wrong one. Okay, let's pull that out. I don't have any more of that one, do I? I guess. hang tight, everyone. I'm going to check my stash of flosses because I would have bought it if I didn't have... I'm going to move this out of the way. You guys can watch me go through my floss. This is all my spare floss. Mostly from times that I've bought floss and is not ordered. Bought floss and because I thought that I didn't have the colour. Or I've been gifted floss. Or I just know that I use that number a lot. Oh no, I don't have it. Oh, that's embarrassing. Well, I'm going to have to go to the craft store, aren't I? And finish off. What's the time? It's pretty much time that I've got to go anyway. So I might love you and leave you all there, and I'll let you guys finish, and you can all be ahead of me. And I will catch up, hopefully tonight. I will see if I can get to a craft store this evening. Yeah, I don't see any other greens in here. I've got this green, and I've got this. That's not really a green, is it? Technically, it's a green. Oh, then there's this green. They are not the same color. But this is what I pulled it from, and this is 3051. This is the one we did the branches for the tiny leaves. So that's purely my bad. I looked at it because I've got the lights off in here, and I can't really see very well. All right. If I didn't have an appointment to get to, I would say that we could move on to colonial knots. But I do. And I do need to get ready for it. Even though I'm in the zone right now. So that's as far as I got. I've almost finished that leaf. Sorry to someone who's just joined in at the end there. But yeah, we did a lot, and I will make sure that that's finished. Hopefully before I stream tomorrow, but I will definitely catch up. But in the meantime, you guys can get ahead of me, which is exciting. And yeah, tomorrow I am thinking that we will do bullion stitches. So we're going to do the little yellow flowers. Not these little yellow flowers, sorry, the big yellow flowers. These ones we're not going to finish on stream. They're going to take ages. We will hopefully finish at least one of them tomorrow. And I'm going to double check all my stash of floss colours and make sure I don't need to buy any more. That's so embarrassing. But yeah, other than that, thank you very much for those who joined and who has been giving me lovely feedback. I very much appreciate it. And just a reminder that if you haven't already, you are going to want to get either a plastic or a paper straw, one that you can cut, because you want a little tiny straw that's about this big. What have I got? I've got a bobbin to show you compared to the bobbin size. So if it's the length of the bobbin, which I'm sure most of you have access to at least one to measure against, you want it to be about that size. If it's the same length, that's great. You want it to be short, because otherwise you're going to be going like this when you're doing the stitch that we're going to need this for. But that's for next week, so you've got plenty of time to go and get one. But otherwise, I will let you guys finish your fishbone stitches. I am sorry that I don't have the amount of floss that I thought I did. And I will be uploading this as soon as I can to YouTube. I can't do it during the day while my husband's working. I'm currently going through the captions from yesterday because They are a mess like I expected because my kids were hanging around. So it's caught what they're saying in the captions. And I'm trying to make it a bit more succinct. But yeah, I'll be uploading this when I can and adding captions when I can. And I thank you all for joining and have a good rest of your day. And I'll see you all tomorrow.